The politically biased and leftist CNN presenter Don Lemon had a bit of a problem on his own CNN show as he tried to blame everything on the white people of the British Empire, but massively failed. It's been absolutely fascinating since obviously a few days ago, the funeral of Her Majesty, and all the interviews that we've had around that day, even before the funeral and after. There have been so many weird stuff from the left-wing liberals. One of them was Don Lemon from CNN. Now, this you might have already seen the clip on social media over the last couple of days, but I thought I could just do a quick reaction to it anyway, because they were talking about the role of the British Empire when it came to slavery, and we need to give money to Africa and everywhere, basically. So we have to give money to all the non-white colonies, not necessarily the white ones. You don't have to give money to Australia or Canada, that's fine. But the issue of what happened during the, not just during the British Empire, before the empire, every other country, every other empire and nation who had links to slave trade and everything else, and in fact, the fact that it was the British Empire who ended it and led the movement globally to end it, doesn't really matter because CNN believe that we are still the bad guys. Watch this.
Those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, $500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Oh, he's asking about reparations, and somehow he says that members of the public. Which public? How many of them? How do you know them? But just wait for the answer. This is absolutely beautiful.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa. And when across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery.
Oh, that is awkward and spot on. This is how you school and educate a liberal like Lemon. Because it wasn't the British Empire that invented it. It wasn't the British Empire went to these countries and said, well, we're going to take your people. No, they already had an actual network of slave trades. They had the business as a business, which was disgusting, of course. They were treating human beings as commodities. But they already had them. So they said, well, just take them anyway. Give us money. And we will cooperate. And then the British Empire, like all the other empires and all the other nations, did it until they realized, well, this is a bit messed up. So it happened to be the British Empire themselves that ended it and told the rest of the world to end it. But she was absolutely spot on about the way she said it. But at the end, I love the actual answer.
And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, we need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages. Absolutely, that's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion, Hillary. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's got nothing else to say. And somehow he's speechless. It's absolutely beautiful. Now we're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to tell you about what's been going on in Iran, the uprising against the Muslim rule and the dictatorial regime. Subscribe to the channel on my Tousi, and we are the media.